This idea might sound like pure science fiction. But here's the unsettling part: it isn't just fiction. Some of the world's most respected scientists, researchers, and thinkers have actually explored this possibility. And one Hollywood film turned this theory into a global conversation that shook millions of minds. Because sometimes fiction doesn't invent ideas, it reveals them. The story begins with a film set in the future, but rooted deeply in our past. A film that dared to ask one of the most dangerous questions humanity has ever faced. Where did we really come from? In this story, two archaeologists discover something strange. Ancient cave paintings scattered across different parts of the world. Civilizations separated by thousands of miles. No communication, no connection. And yet all of them depicted the same thing: a tall, human-like figure pointing toward a specific pattern of stars. Not once, but again and again and again. It didn't look like art. It looked like a message, a map, an invitation. When these star patterns were analyzed, something shocking emerged. They pointed to a real star system far beyond our reach. And that's when a bold idea was born. What if our ancestors weren't imagining these figures? What if they were remembering them? In the film, these beings were called engineers. Highly advanced entities, almost human in appearance, but far beyond us in intelligence, technology, and power. And in one of the most haunting scenes, we see something unforgettable. An engineer stands on a lifeless planet, a barren world, silent, empty. What if everything you've ever believed, everything you were taught about creation, about gods, about humanity was only part of the story? What if the beings we call gods were never gods at all? What if they came from somewhere else, watching us, creating us, and maybe still observing us even today? He consumes a mysterious black liquid, and then his body begins to break apart. Cell by cell, molecule by molecule, he dissolves into the water. His DNA spreads across the planet, and slowly life begins. This wasn't just storytelling. It was a question. What if life on Earth didn't begin here? What if it was planted? There's an actual scientific theory that explores this exact idea. It's called panspermia. In simple terms, it suggests that life didn't originate on Earth. Instead, microscopic life forms may have traveled through space, carried by asteroids or comets, eventually reaching our planet. And once they arrived, they evolved, grew, adapted, became us. This idea isn't new. Ancient philosophers spoke about it thousands of years ago. But modern science started taking it seriously in the early 20th century. And then something happened. In 1984, scientists discovered a meteorite in Antarctica. It had originated from Mars. When researchers studied it, they found structures that looked eerily similar to microscopic life. Nothing was confirmed, but it was enough to shake the scientific community. Enough to make people wonder, what if we're not from here? But the theory doesn't stop there. There's a more controversial version, one that feels almost impossible to accept. Directed panspermia. This idea suggests that life wasn't just accidentally brought to Earth. It was sent here, intentionally, by an advanced civilization. Think about that for a moment. Not random, not accidental. Designed, engineered, created. Even more shocking, this idea was supported by one of the scientists who discovered the structure of DNA itself. If the very code of life can be understood, then maybe it can also be written. And suddenly, the line between science and science fiction begins to blur. But here's where things get even more unsettling, because this isn't just about science anymore. It's about history. Across the world, across cultures, across religions, one story keeps repeating itself. A powerful being created humanity, gave them knowledge, and then disappeared into the heavens. Different names, different details, but the same core story. In ancient myths, in religious texts, in cultural traditions, the pattern is identical. What if these stories weren't symbolic? What if they were misunderstood encounters? This is the foundation of the ancient astronaut theory. It suggests that thousands of years ago, advanced beings visited Earth. They influenced early human development. And because our ancestors couldn't understand their technology, they called them gods. Think about it. If a spacecraft landed 5,000 years ago, if beings emerged with abilities that seemed impossible, if they could heal, fly, create fire, manipulate energy. What would ancient humans call them? They wouldn't call them aliens. They would call them gods. And maybe that's exactly what happened. There are strange clues scattered across history. Ancient texts describing flying machines. Weapons that sound eerily similar to modern-day nuclear explosions. Blinding light. Massive destruction. Mushroom-shaped clouds. Was it imagination or memory? Then there are structures like the Great Pyramid, built with such precision, such accuracy, that even modern engineers struggle to fully explain it. Massive stones, perfectly aligned, positioned, with incredible mathematical accuracy. How did ancient humans achieve this? With no advanced tools? No modern technology? Or were they not alone? And what about the Nazca lines? Massive drawings carved into the desert, so large they can only be fully seen from the sky. Why create something that can't be viewed from the ground? Who were they meant for? Who was watching from above? These aren't proofs, but they are patterns. And patterns demand attention. Now let's step back and look at the bigger picture. The universe itself. It's not just big. It's beyond comprehension. Hundreds of billions of galaxies, each containing billions of stars. And around those stars, planets. Potentially billions of Earth-like worlds. Worlds with the right conditions for life. Water, energy,
time.
The building blocks of life aren't rare. They're everywhere. So logically, statistically, it becomes almost impossible to believe that we are alone. And that leads us to one of the most famous questions ever asked. If life should exist everywhere, then where is everyone? This is known as the Fermi paradox. A simple question with no simple answer. Because if advanced civilizations exist, why haven't we seen them? Why haven't they contacted us? Or have they? One possible explanation is both fascinating and terrifying. What if they are here, but they're not interfering? What if they're watching us the way we observe animals in a zoo?
Studying.
Analyzing. Waiting. This idea is called the zoo hypothesis. It suggests that advanced civilizations are aware of us, but choose not to interact. Maybe we're being observed, monitored,
judged,
and maybe we're not ready yet. This idea feels strangely familiar. And then comes the most chilling possibility of all. What if the creators are no longer pleased with their creation?
In that same film, when humans finally reach their creators, they discover something unexpected. Hostility, rejection, even destruction. The beings who created them now want them gone. And strangely, this idea also echoes through ancient stories. Tales of great floods, global destruction, civilizations wiped out, only a few survivors. Stories that appear in cultures across the world, separated by distance, yet sharing the same narrative. What really happened in our past? Was it natural disaster? Or something more intentional? Now imagine this. If a civilization exists millions of years ahead of us, what would they be capable of? To understand this, scientists created something called the Kardashev scale. It ranks civilizations based on how much energy they can use. We're not even at the first level yet, but a highly advanced civilization could harness the energy of entire stars, even entire galaxies. To them, we wouldn't just be primitive. We would be insignificant, like insects trying to understand humans. And maybe that's why, if they exist, we haven't been able to understand them, because their technology would feel like magic. And that brings us to a powerful idea. Any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. Now think about that. If someone showed a smartphone to a human 500 years ago, what would they believe? Magic, divine power, something beyond comprehension. So what would truly advanced technology look like to us today? Maybe we've already seen it and just didn't understand it. There's one final mystery that makes this even more unsettling. The code of life itself. It contains billions of data points. But here's the strange part. A huge percentage of it is still not fully understood. For years, scientists called it junk DNA. But now, they're starting to realize it's not junk at all. It has a purpose, a function, something we haven't fully decoded yet. And some researchers have proposed a bold idea. What if our DNA contains hidden information? A message, a signature, left behind by whoever created us. Like a programmer leaving code inside a system, waiting to be discovered or activated. And if that's true, then the biggest question isn't just, who created us? Because if we were created, then we are not random. We are not accidental. We are part of something bigger, something intentional. And that leads to one final, unavoidable question. If someone created us, then who created them? And who created their creators? The question never ends. It loops forever. And maybe that's the point. Because in the end, whether you believe in science or spirituality, one thing is undeniable. We are here. We are aware. We are questioning our own existence. Maybe that is the greatest mystery of all. Because we are not just living in the universe. We are the universe, trying to understand itself. So the next time you look up at the night sky, ask yourself this: are we alone? Or are we being watched? And if someone is watching, what are they waiting for? The answer might change everything.